Hello friends, welcome to Coding Host YouTube channel. In this video, I will explain you what is recursion. So this is the first video of our recursion playlist, and in this first video, we will see the recursion basics. So what is recursion? So when a function call itself, it is known as recursion. So the define is simple. When a function is calling itself, it is known as recursion. Recursion is very important in the data structure because when you are learning DSA, at some point you will be learning about linked list, binary trees and dynamic programming. So that time if you are not familiar with recursion, then you are not able to understand that topics. So recursion is very important part in the DSA, so don't skip it. Now we will see what is recursion. Suppose I tell you that you have to print a number 5. So what you will do is you will just write this println statement and you will enter here 5. And now when I run this program, so you can see in the output we are getting 5. Okay, so it is easy. But if I tell you that you have to print this number with the help of a function, then what you will do is you will write a function like public static void print, and in this method we are having a parameter int n, and inside this method what I will do is I will paste this println statement, and here I will pass n. Suppose if I call this method print and I am entering here 5. Okay, and now let's run this program. You can see still we are getting 5. Yes, it's very simple. You have just written a method to print this number. But if I tell you that you have to print a number from 5 to 1, so will you call this method 5 times here? No, you will be only thinking of using for loop or while loop. You will just take a for loop from 5 to 1 and you will print all the numbers. But if I tell you that we can also do the same thing from only using this method, like we will make some changes in this method, but after that we can also print numbers from 5 to 1. So you can see that right now we are just passing here 5 and it is simply printing this number as it is 5. But suppose after printing this number, if I call this method again and this time I will pass here n minus 1, now what will happen? Now I will explain you how this method will execute. So you can see we have a method in which we have this parameter n. So right now we are calling this method, and in this int n parameter we are passing 5. So right now value of n is 5. After that you can see that we have these two lines here. I will write here line number 1 and line number 2. So when the value of n is 5, this first line will execute. Okay, so first line has executed, and what it will do, it will print this number as it is. So it will print n and n is 5, so it will print 5. Then it will call this method again, and this time it will pass n minus 1. So this second line will also execute. So 5 minus 1 will become 4. So right now we have this 4 in this method again. When the value of n is 4, what will happen? This first line will execute and it will print the value of n as it is. Okay, and the value of n is 4. Then it will execute the second line. So it will execute the second line when the value of n is 4, and it will call this method again, and now we will pass here n minus 1. So 4 minus 1 is 3. So when the value of n is 3, so this first line will execute again. So this first line will execute, then it will print the value of n as it is. So in the output we will get 3. Then it will call this method again with n minus 1. So when the value of n is 3, this second line also execute, and it will call this method again with n minus 1. So 3 minus 1 is 2. So now value of n has become 2. Again this first line will execute, so it will print value of n as it is. So this first line will execute and it will print here n, which is 2. Then again the second line will execute. So second line will also execute, and it will call this method again n minus 1. So 2 minus 1 is 1. So now value of n has become 1. So when the value of n is 1, again this first line will execute. So this first line will print the value of n as it is. So it will print here 1, and after that it will again call this method where now we are passing n minus 1. So 1 minus 1 is 0. Now value of n has become 0. So you can see that when the value of n has become 0, again this first line will execute and it will print here 0. But you can see that we only have to print the numbers from 5 to 1. You can see that we have to write a base case here, because if we do not write the base case, then this method will call itself infinite times and you will get error. So this method will not call itself again when the value of n will become 0. Before these two lines in this method, I will write a if statement. If value of n is equal to 0, so that time you have to return. So this is the base case of this method. So you can see here, if we do not write the base case here, and I will run this program here, so let's see what we will get in the output. So you can see that I will show you from starting. First it is printing number from 5 to 1, then 0, then it has started here printing negative numbers, and you can see that how many numbers it has printed, and in the last we will get that error. This program will exit itself with the exit code 1. So to avoid that, we will write here if statement in the starting of all these lines. If n is equal to 0, so that time just return. So in the last, when the value of n will become 0, so this method will simply stop here and it will not execute anymore. So now let's run this program. So now you can see that this time we are only getting numbers from 5 to 1. So you can see that what we are doing in this program. First, do not think about the base case. First, only think that what you have to do yourself. The first thing you have to do is you have to print the current value of the n. So you are just printing the current value of the n, and after that you are calling this method again and you are passing n minus 1, and the rest of the values it will print itself. And you also have to write a base case here, because if you not write this base case, then this function will call itself infinite times. So I think now you have understood. So this is the first program we have written using recursion, print decreasing.